Hey everyone, this is Stan with TopSurfer.com. It is March 1st, 2017, and it is time for Stan's Tip of the Week. So this week we're going to cover a big spectrum of things, and I'm going to try to do it in as short a time as possible. Because this week I want to talk about the habits of a successful marketer. So these are things that I'm trying to do myself to create these habits, and I catch myself not doing them, so I wanted to make sure they got recorded here so I can kind of remind myself what to do. So let's just get right into it. The first one is expect the sell. So whether you believe in the law of attraction or you call it faith, you should be expecting that a sell will come. And not only that, you should really believe that it's going to come. And there's some other reasons to do that. And one of them is first of all, so you don't self-sabotage. Some people expect failure, and so they kind of don't do things to succeed and they do it subconsciously, that it ends up making them fail, of course. And so if you expect to be successful, you expect to get that sell, then you're going to be better off for it for many reasons. And I can't go into all of them right now, but just expect the sell. And right along with that, we have visualize and resolve problems. So visualizing does a couple of things. First of all, if you believe, like I said, in the law of attraction and the law of faith, you basically are visualizing and you're seeing that it's happening. But it does much more than that, and that's the point that I want to get into, is that when you visualize and resolve problems, basically what I want you to do is, say for example, your website sells teddy bears. And so what I want you to do is get into the mindset of a person who's going to be buying a teddy bear, whether it's a mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, aunt, uncle, whatever, buying it for a child, or maybe it's just a person who likes to collect teddy bears or whatever it is. Visualize yourself as being that specific person that you would see buying your product or service. So visualize yourself as that person, but also visualize that they're out there and that there's hundreds of them looking at your product, and they're going to respond to it. They're going to look at your website and they're going to respond and do whatever your website is encouraging them to do. So then go to your website, kind of clear your mind, become that person. Go to your website and start looking at it as if this is the first time you've ever seen it, and put yourself in that mindset. Hey, maybe even think of somebody, if you're not if you're thinking, okay, this is a grandmother buying it for her grandchild, and you're a man like me in his 40s, then you're going to say, okay, I've got to visualize maybe my mom doing this or something like that. What does my mom think of my website? And so kind of come at it that direction and just say, okay, if I was this person, what would I think of this paragraph that it says this? Does that explain everything it should explain? And you kind of go through that, and that's where you will resolve the problems. People do that with marketing as well, is that they'll try to explain something in very short terms, and they don't explain it well enough because they know what they're talking about, but other people don't. And so you want to make sure you're covering the subject well enough, but you're keeping it short as well. And so just kind of go through it in that mindset and visualize that it's happening, but also do it in order to resolve the problems. So the next thing is you've got to do something. I believe it was Albert Einstein that said that the definition of insanity was somebody doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something to change. And that's not going to happen. So if you haven't been doing anything, then of course nothing's going to happen. So let me show you this little chart here. This is a chart of success. So let's assign a few things. So down here we have effort or expense. So basically, time is money, money is time. So whether you're putting in your money or you're actually putting in your time, it's the same thing. So we've got effort and expense there, and then over here we have success, or ROI, which is return on investment. So up here I want you to just imagine whatever amount you want to get per item for a return on your investment, what the maximum amount of success is. So if you're selling a $50 product, then $50 is up here. So here's your expenses, And so obviously you don't want to go over. So let's move down to the next one. So we've got a 0 here, which is 0 effort, 0 success. If you do nothing, you're not getting anything. It used to be where people thought, you know, hey, if I build a website, people are just going to flock to it. Well, people still think that. But that's not the case. A website is a store not only on a dead-end street, but it's clear out in the middle of the desert, 500 miles from anything else on a dead-end street. Nobody's going to go to it unless you tell people to go there. So that's the way you need to visualize your website, as nobody is going to come here unless I do something today about that. How am I going to get people to my website today? So up here is also a 0, because if you're completely spending everything to get this, your profit's going to be 0. But I'm going to get into that just a little bit more here in just a minute, how that can be a little bit different. So here is the perfect situation. You spend very, very, very little and you get everything that you possibly need, and everyone thinks that, you know, this is what's going to happen with them. People put on you know, what I call mother eyes. You know, you're a mother, your students up, or your child is in school and performing in a play or something, and you see how wonderful your child is performing, and they're just the best thing in the world, and everything is perfect, but in reality they're just as bad as every other child singing or whatever. You know, they're just as average, I should say. And mothers, you know, tend to see things as everything's perfect, everything's going to be wonderful. So the mother eyes, you want to make sure you don't have your mother eyes on when you're looking at your website. When you're looking at those problems, don't assume everything is going to be perfect, even though expected. But don't assume it. You still have to be realistic, and you still have to prepare for that. I know it's kind of a weird thing. It's a double-edged sword, and it's a fine line to walk, but you need to walk it, because if you're expecting this, it's probably not going to happen. This is like expecting to win the lottery. It's not going to happen. You need to do something to do it. So here is you know, optimal. This is what really is the best circumstances, where you get everything that you need and your expenses aren't capped out. You know, you haven't spent every bit of money to get there. And of course, this is worst case scenario, or yeah, this is worst case scenario, where, you know, you hardly made any money and you've spent everything you possibly can. Unfortunately, a lot of us fall in this area, and it's not necessarily our efforts' fault, or, you know, what we're spending our money on. It's all the other stuff. It's the product. It's the service. I mean, you know, if we're selling a product but we're not giving good service for it, it could be that as well. It could be that we have problems on our website that we just don't see because we have our mother eyes on. So we need to go in, we need to visualize, we need to follow all these steps to bump this line back up like this. And, you know, so we need to fine-tune this part right here of, you know, we're doing our effort, we're doing what we need to do, but nothing is coming of it. Sometimes it is time to just walk away. If you have gone through, you've resolved everything, you visualize and you say, okay, these are the people that I expect to come. Now, here's a problem with visualizing, and this might actually come about with visualizing, is that you visualize that person coming to your website. And I've done this. I've actually started creating websites, and I'll be all into it, and I'll be like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then I step back and I visualize it. And I say, who's this person that's coming to this website? And then I think, wow, that's less than 10% of the population. Who am I targeting? I'm targeting, you know, hardly nobody out there. And, you know, hardly anybody is going to be using this. So how do I expect to sell this like crazy by doing, you know, a minimal amount of effort that I can and still get that return on my investment? And so we kind of have to judge all that. However, if we get to a point where we're doing this, this can still be successful. And let me explain how. We have such a thing called a loss leader, or something where you're selling it and you're losing money on it, but you're hoping to get that person to come back time and time again. So if you think you can sell a product that your customers are going to consume, or they're going to use up, and they're going to come back and they're going to buy again and again and again, or they're signing up for a monthly membership, and it takes you, maybe it's a monthly membership of, you know, hopefully it's less than $50, $50 a month, and you say, okay, it's a monthly membership, it's well worth everything. They're going to buy it, they're going to see it, they're going to love it, and I'm going to lose $50 by getting them because I'm spending all this money on advertising or whatever, and I'm going to lose $50, but next month I'm going to be making money off them. So maybe next month it turns into this. So that can be a good situation. So you can do that. So once we develop these habits, and the next one, of course, is we repeat it. We just do it over and over again. We always are looking at expecting that sell. We're visualizing and trying to resolve the problems. Maybe things start to slow down. Why are things slowing down? What is actually happening here? And maybe, if you're good enough, you can actually, as you're visualizing and resolving those problems, you can actually say, hey, at a certain point, I see that there could be a slowdown. It's not happening yet, but I do see that it could possibly happen. Why would it happen, and how can I prevent that from happening? And then, always be doing something. Say to yourself, how am I going to get people to my website today? And then, find the way to do that. And you just keep doing it over and over again. And that right there is my tip of the week. So hopefully everyone has a great, safe week out there, and we will see you at the top. Thanks.